Okay, we're ready for our next installment of why it's better to own a Jeep than Chevy. Rick, sir, you getting this? Alright. Alright, I think this is probably reason number 1704. I'm going to pull the motor out of the Jeep. It's making a weird noise. It's been making this noise for quite some time, and rather than get stranded on the road, we're going to see if we can correct the problem. Alright, I think that'll do it for the introduction, and let's get started. First we're going to remove the bumper. You're going to notice how quickly and easily this bumper comes off this Jeep due to some excellent engineering on the people from Jeep's part.
It's gotta come off next, so.
Well, we got a phone call, so we have to stop for a minute. It's Minnie. Hello? Okay. Back to the job at hand. Got Minnie all taken care of. She's happy. So, let's get back started on this Jeep. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were removing the electrical from the hood so that we could remove the hood. Okay?
Yeah, we're going to screw that back in so we can start the motor later. Main power to the fuse box. That job's half done.
The hired help gets here, we'll lift that hood off there and get ready to move into the garage. Hired help's not real dependable. You don't get paid a whole lot. Budget's kind of low. But I'm sure they'll be here. Until then. Okay. Back to why it's better to own a Jeep than a Chevy. You may have missed the last few installments as we were getting the motor unbolted because there weren't any. But anyways, it all went relatively smoothly, as to be expected. It is a Jeep. And we are currently attempting to separate the engine from the transmission. This is always a tough and tedious job, but with it being a Jeep, there's plenty of room to work, and I think it should go rather smoothly. So, let's get started. Give you a little overview of where we're at. Here we go. There's the Jeep. Already hooked up to the cherry picker. We got the jack underneath the transmission for a little support. Okay, we got her all broke loose. A little bit of hassle there, but I don't care what you got. That job's going to be a little bit of hassle. But we got through it. So now we'll just get the camera angle a little more conveniently here. We're going to take a quick look at what's going on. So. Let me get the camera unscrewed. Okay, alright, what do we got here? Got her pulled back. Gonna have to go up in the air now. But she's definitely coming out. Okay, we got her up in the air. Gotta clear the manifolds over our little radiator mounts, post mounts. And we'll be able to roll the Jeep out of the garage and get started on the engine stand. Make another engine stand, so we'll have two of them. We can put the motors side by side and select the best pieces off whichever one. Okay, let's get started on that. Okay, I think that looks high enough. And now we can roll the Jeep out from under everything. Put the motor back down to a level where we can see it, and off we go to the next phase. Wasn't that quick and easy? Better give her a couple more pumps. We look a little low on this side. And we're out of drive. Look. Let's not run over the four-wheeler with the Jeep. Okay, out she goes. Voila! Motor pulled. We'll take a short break and get started on that engine stand. Okay, got our engine stand. Went up to the local pawn shop, found one for $30. Can't hardly build one for $30. Have that into the wheels. So we got our $30 engine stand. We got the motor mounted up on it. Give you a little shot of that. There she is. There's that $30 engine stand. Notice it's already got the extra capacity brace on it, so we won't have to put that on there ourselves. And we're starting to pull things off. We'll get the oil drained out of her and the alternator and power steering pump off, and flip her upside down, take the oil pan off, and see what we got. Okay. Okay. Got her rolled over and got the oil pan off, and happy to report couldn't find any catastrophic damage. Pistons look good. Oars look good from what I can see. We did find a couple little pieces down in the pan though. Not exactly sure what they are. We'll go in the house here in a minute and get a look at them. But right now we'll give you a quick little shot of what she looks like inside there. A little bit of carbon, but hey, it's to be expected. The motor's got a lot of miles on it. Okay, we're back in the house. Now I'm going to show you them little pieces I found down the bottom of the oil pan. They're not metallic. The magnet won't stick to them. So keep that in mind as we have a look here. It's about as close as we're going to get, I believe. Now, I personally am not exactly sure what these are, but by the looks of this radius right in here, which appears to be polished, well, hey, get you a little better look at that. Wherever this came off of was riding on in the grander scheme of things, relatively small shaft, rod, whatever. I myself would have to guess somewhere along the lines of maybe a valve stem. Maybe this is a top part of the seal for the valve stem. Not exactly sure. But hey, we're open to suggestion on what that could be. Hopefully by later today, though, we'll know exactly what it is. Okay, back out to the garage. Okay, ready to roll that motor over and pop them valve covers off and maybe see if we can see what the problem is. Let's get started with that. Okay, get them valve covers off and see where we're at. Okay, we got valve covers off, and fortunately really haven't found any telltale signs of damage that could have been causing the noise. I have noticed that inside the springs there seems to be some kind of fancy schmancy oil cover protector or something around the valve stems, and several of those are crushed and just ain't looking like they're new anymore. Some of them appear to be completely gone. Got at least 3 on one side and 4 on the other, like that. But we're gonna roll her back over and pull the oil pump off and look at it, and maybe take a bearing cap off and check a little clearance here and there. Alright? Okay. Okay, after lots of digging and hunting and digging, we may have discovered the problem. And much as I hate to say it, I tend to believe that the little pieces in the bottom of the oil pan ain't got a whole lot to do with it. It's probably not good that these little valve guide thingy, whatever they are all broken up into a million little pieces, but doesn't seem to be the problem. So what I think I found, though, we're going to zero in on this and let you take a look at it. See what you think. Okay. Zoom right in on there. What we're looking at here is a connecting rod. Holds the piston to the crankshaft. These are typically supposed to have, well, 1,000th per inch of diameter, so maybe 1.5 2/1000ths play. Let me give this one a little move for you. As you can see, she's shifting quite a ways. For something that's supposed to move less than the thickness of a piece of paper, I think we got a whole book right there. So we're gonna go take a gander at some nice fresh rod bearings, see what we can find, what we need, and we may get this back together by the end of the week yet. Kind of doubt it, but hey, there's nothing like a little wishful thinking to help the project along. Okay, done a fair amount of tearing apart on the Jeep motor, and pretty sure we discovered what the source of the noise was. A little earlier video I showed you a picture of the connecting rod bearing, and she was a little loose, so I got in there and got to measuring a few things, and had at least 2 of them that had 30+ thousandths clearance in them. It's way too much. More than likely that's where our noise is coming from. So when you got that much clearance in your crankshaft, it's about time to have her ground. So we did a little hunting and pecking there, and found a rebuilt one, a reground one. Went ahead and purchased that. Came with the bearings. Got some gasket kits and so forth. We'll show you a little picture of that. Been cleaning up pistons. Very tedious job, but we got them looking pretty nice. We're getting down to cleaning up the block now, and I'll give you a little shot of what we got going here. Here's our new crankshaft, fresh out of the box. Journals look real pretty. Sure is nice looking. Beats the heck out of the one we took out of it. Okay, what else we got here? New throwout bearing. Got the kind with the grease fitting in it. Not really sure how we're gonna be able to reach up there and grease that, but we'll make that work somehow. I kind of like that idea. A few carburetor gaskets there. Here's our new bearing sets that came with the crank. Rod bearings there. There's your mains. What else do we got here? We got gasket kits. You know, here's our galley pan box. Kind of see that. Not real good though. Here's our piston. Got this one pretty well cleaned up. See, the grooves look pretty good. We sandblasted that piston, and some people might call you crazy for sandblasting a piston, but there's more than one way to sandblast something. First of all, you don't let me get this a little adjusted here. Easier. There we go. First of all, you don't crank her up as high as it'll go. See how fast you can blow it off there. That only create a lot of pits. We put her down on about 30 pounds and took her real slow and real easy and scraped her where we needed to and cleaned her up the rest of the way. So some people don't quite agree with that. They say, man, you're a little crazy for sandblasting your piston, but what I tend to tell them is when you're rebuilding your Jeep, do it however you want. Okay, now that that's over. Well, I guess that cuts it for right now, and we'll get back with you as soon as we start plastigaging them bearings, and maybe we'll give you a quick picture of that. Okay. Okay, we got the new crank in it, and it's looking pretty good. Kind of like the way it went in there. We got a little more inplay than I'd like to have, but I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do about that. We're just going to let her go. Now we're at to show you how that plastigage works. We done already put all our caps on, tried it. We'll give you a little picture of that. Makes it a little easier to understand. There's our bearing cap. You can see the little red plastic wire there. You pretty much just lay it in there and tighten your bearing cap down and squash it. And of course, depending on how far it squashes, tells you how much clearance you got. You got this little gauge here with markings on it. Get this out of the way. As you can see, we fall somewhere between the 3, a little better view, somewhere between the 3 and the 2. So that tells us that our clearance is, well, pretty good. So we're going to go with that. Put her all back together. Oh. A little big there. Back that up. So we'll go ahead and put all them caps back on now that we've checked them. Everything looks good. And move on to the rod bearings. Check them the same way. Okay, let's get at it. Okay, we've plastigaged the rod bearings, and well, they don't look too bad. This one had me a little nervous. It was one that had like 43 thousandths clearance in it and had spun, so I thought maybe the rod was going to be a little laid out, but it doesn't look like it is. Left the plastigage on the journal this time so you could have a look at it there. Get you a little peek at that. There we are. There's number 1. That's the one that really had me the most nervous. As you can see, we take our little plastigage gauge, and once again, get her steady there. We're falling somewhere between the 3 and the 2. A little closer to 2 on that one. That's cylinder number 1. Let's move on to cylinder number 2. There he is. A little more centered up there. And once again, our little plastigage says that, kind of a funny angle there for you, but take my word for it. Once again, the plastigage says we're somewhere in that 2 to 3 range, and that sounds good to me, so we're going to run it. We'll check the rest of them and see where we're at. We'll check the rest of them and see where we're at. And I got a feeling they're all going to look pretty good, and we're about ready to put the rings in it. All right, let's move along. Okay, little update for you. Been moving along pretty good here. Things are going back together quite nicely. Girl is Jeep, so things will tend to go nicely. Little update though. Here's where we're at. You can see we got the water pump on, timing chain, pan, oil pan that is. We're just cruising right along on the heads here. Got the heads down, putting the rockers on. We excuse me, ran into a little problem with one of the rockers. Not a showstopper by any means, but it's definitely not good. Let's see if we can get you a look at what's going on here. As you can see, that's the surface right there. Oops. That actually pushes down on the top of the valve. See the one next to it here? He don't look happy. He ain't in good shape. I have to replace that, I guess. Weld it up and polish it back down. But that's our dilemma at the moment. Look, maybe we can buy a new one. Not sure how readily available them are, but all else fails, you can always go right back here. To the spare 425 that we got sitting over there against the wall. Okay. Yay! Little shot of the rocker arms that we had to touch up, or the one, I should say. We just put a little weld on her. Kind of honed her back off. Tried to make her look nice. See, this one here is the one that was next to it. Oh, so we got a little trouble with that. And this one over here is the one we did a little work on. Kind of wish I would have got a little more weld on her, but we're going to let that go. We checked her with an indicator, and even though I felt I was leaving her a little humped up, we were still about 5 thousandths lower than the rocker arm next to it. But I don't think 5 thousandths in a hydraulic lifter is going to mean a whole lot, so we're going to carry on with this project, and we'll be putting her right back together here pretty quick. Okay, I'll give you a little update. Moving right along. Got the rockers all fixed up and went together quite well. It's to be expected. Is Jeep. And so we'll give you a little shot here now of what we got going on. Motor's up on the cherry picker. As you can see, got our valve covers on. Didn't repaint them. I kind of wish I would have, but hired help stop by and just didn't have the time. You got to take advantage of that help when you can. Not real dependable, you know. But we got her ready to go. So in the morning we'll probably be trying to line her up. Took a quick look around. Don't seem to be able to locate the pilot bushing. That's not good. But I'm sure it's here somewhere, because I didn't find the bolts that hold the engine to the bell housing either. So kind of hoping maybe they're all in the same pile. But there we are. There's what she looks like just before we set her in. We left the fuel pump off. No sense fighting with that. Alternator, power steering pump, we'll leave them right off. They go on pretty easy. The radiator's not been in the way. But proceeding along quite nicely. Alright. Okay. We got the motor mounts all bolted down. Everything went pretty well. It's to be expected. It is a Jeep. But so we're just going to give you a little shot of what she looks like now. And we're going to start bolting a few things onto the front of her. Fuel pump, alternator, things of that nature. And we'll take a shot here and there as that progresses. Alright, let's get started. There's the fuel pump for you, all neatly secured. There's the alternator, run quite nicely. A little custom bracketry there. A power steering pump in there. Short one stainless steel bolt for that, but we'll put that on the list. It's easy to reach. It's a Jeep. Got the distributor in place. They're all lined up with number 1 and back where we like to have her. She's ready to go. There's the fan, all in and secure and ready to do its job. And there's the radiator, all cinched up with her new stainless steel bolts. Got the battery box all hooked up there and wired up. Ain't a whole lot of wiring to a Jeep. That's part of the simplicity of owning a Jeep. Not a bunch of extracurricular stuff on one. Yeah, we'll give you a little shot of this carburetor situation we got. The old Rochester, she was a little worn out on the linkage where the rod goes through the carburetor body. So we bought some bushings, and when we're in the process of putting them in, right here's what we got. We set her up in the mill real quick, and a lot of people just drill these, but man, I like my stuff to be a little bit on the straight side. It's kind of hard to hold a drill straight. This is going in a Jeep, you know. There's some things you want to be correct. But there's your secondary. That's the bushing there on the left, and the hole it's going to go in on the right. They weren't quite as bad as the primaries. Here's your primaries. They were really egged out bad. But we got that coming around, so that'll all be good. Okay. Got your carburetor back in there. We got that little boring job all done. You can only see the top of her, but she's there. Carburetor, a little bit of distributor cap there right beside her. Got her all wired up. Battery box. Oop, a little close. Got the battery box, so now we're getting down to just not much left other than the exhaust. And we'll see how our little project turned out. Okay. Well, as the old saying goes, the moment of truth is upon us. So let's we dumped a little gas in the car and we let that fumigate for a second. Them fumes burn a lot better than raw gas. And we're about ready to hit the key here. So let's see what happens. Well, it wasn't necessarily good, but it's a start. Okay. That is music to my ears. First, it was a Jeep, so there really was no doubt. all said and done, the problem seemed to be that the distributor was 180 degrees off, plus one tooth. So once we flipped her around and made up for that one tooth, pretty much fired right up. Had to run the idle up a little bit. As you can see, we still ain't got that one secured, but looks to me like this project is pretty much done. Thanks for watching.